And when you look at RECWA, the Wastewater Reclamation Act, or I forget exactly what it is. Uh, anyway, it came down to the EPA when they talk about a waste stream or a hazardous waste. Well, to the lay person, when you talk about hazardous waste, to me, that's what are you throwing away that could be classified as hazardous? That's not the EPA's definition of a hazardous waste. For example, our solvent, we were sending off to a third party company to have it distilled. They were distilling it and sending it back to us. And we documented how much we sent, how much we got back, all of those things. But the EPA classified that as a hazardous waste. None of it was going in the trash. None of it was being disposed of. But according to the EPA, that was a hazardous waste, and we had to do things a little bit differently. We now reclaim and distill all of our solvent in-house. So that's one of the things we modified in our process, saved us a lot of money. But anyway, back to the DEA article. The word article, they are using the plain English definition. It's not a legally defined definition according to the DEA. So what that means, they have the discretion to apply that definition as they see fit by when they look at something. They could look at a single bottle and say, this is an article. They could look at a kilo of extract and say, that is an article. They could look at a 55-gallon barrel drum that we sell to other manufacturers and call that an article if they choose to. So it comes down to discretion. The intent of the law is to limit products that they think would be a unreasonable risk or create potential harm. So when I literally talked to a DEA agent about this on Tuesday or Wednesday. What she explained is, Todd, we're looking for people that are breaking the law. We're looking for criminals. We're looking for people that are doing the wrong thing. And then she brought up the example of if you have hemp-derived Delta-9, well, that may be Farm Bill compliant, but at the end of the day, the molecule in that bottle, if you got a liter of it, you have a liter of Delta-9 THC, which if it came from marijuana, that would be a Schedule I narcotic. If it came from hemp, it's a loophole, but she said, Todd, in the 5, 6, 7 years that we've been doing this now with hemp-derived cannabinoids, nobody's ever gotten sentenced or gone to prison over having hemp-derived Delta-9 in a concentration. So the word article is going to be up to the individual interpretation, and my best guess is they're going to look at the totality of the situation and say, is this guy being an asshole trying to break the law or not? So that's my opinion, and that's based on reading it, talking to a DEA agent. Also, I have 2 attorneys. Both of them are former U.S. attorneys, federal prosecutors. Had brief conversations with them about it. Okay. Kamal, do you want to invite yourself up or request? If anyone knows how to do that, I'll bring you up. Next thing, Todd, is there an injunction on the sale of 7OH in New York City? I don't know. I think New York as a state banned it. There's so many moving parts throughout the United States. I don't know. I can't keep up to date with all of the laws. I can say as a nationwide distributor, ingredient manufacturer, e-commerce company, white label, or whatever you want to call it, we are constantly looking at, everybody that orders from us on a retail standpoint, where it's going. We try as hard as we can with our web develop or e-com team to make sure we have the latest and greatest compliance built into the back end of our website, which would prohibit somebody from buying a product they shouldn't be able to buy. It is a game of whack-a-mole to a certain degree. What's interesting is it won't even let me invite you up, Jordan. You were up here the other day. All right, I figured out a way. I'm inviting some of you guys up.
Hey there.
Hi, Jennifer.
I actually had a question. I was just sitting here thinking, if you don't
Uh-huh.
mind.
Yeah, what do you got?
You know how 7OH was thrown out on the market. They didn't go through the right process and register, I guess is it new dietary registration?
NDI.
NDI.
New dietary ingredient, or technically a new dietary ingredient notification.
Okay, so they did not register an NDI, right?
And
I know they
they didn't
had
file an
since though.
NDIN.
An NDIN.
Correct.
Okay. So technically speaking, like technically, they've been illegal on the market this whole time, right?
Yes. You'd have to comprehend the Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act along with the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. Uh, the Duché was a complement or an addition or modification of the Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act. Because prior to 1994, dietary supplements as a general category was the wild, wild west. You saw all sorts of crazy stuff going on. There were zero threshold safety standards. So basically, a manufacturer has to have a scientific basis of safety that their formulation will do no harm based on its conditions of use. So, for example, if you say uh, this product is safe for 18 plus, non pregnant, on no other drugs, that is the safety pool that you have to prove your product is safe for. If you say it can include breastfeeding women, well, then you have to take it a little step further and have scientific basis for that. It all comes down to what scientific basis do you have that your product is safe. Now, uh, and that's on any dietary ingredient or formulation. So to take it one step further, uh, anything introduced into the supply chain after October 15th, 1994, is categorically going to be classified as a new dietary ingredient. And if you are introducing a new dietary ingredient, uh, you have to file a new dietary ingredient application. And it's kind of a multi stage process. First, you have to identify what it is. What is it? In my particular case, are it. And you'll hear us in this industry talk about the definition or your article or it quite a bit. What is it? My particular ingredient is metrogenine acetate salt standardized to 75% metrogenine, a broad spectrum extract containing all the other minor alkaloids. That is the identity of what we submit. Now, keep in mind, uh, there are other types of kratom extract. There's metrogeny oxalate, metrogeny hydrochloride. So every extract is not the same. They each behave a little bit differently. Just because I submitted my article or my it doesn't necessarily mean it applies to somebody else's it. OPMS, they use ethanol for their extraction. We use limonene. So our extracts are different. So I know OPMS is filed in NDIN through Johnson Foods. And if you look at the FDA's database of new dietary ingredient notifications, I think there are 5 or 6 kratom manufacturers that have submitted an NDI on kratom extract. I know there's been a couple people do it on leaf. We can have the whole argument on is leaf, is that a ODI or an NDI? And then also, I remember lawyer Jonathan Miller. Jonathan Miller is the lawyer for Hart. He published an opinion letter on 7-hydroxy about 2 years ago. I'm sure you can find it online. I got a copy of it somewhere. And he argued that 7-hydroxy was an old dietary ingredient. And where he is factually wrong is you have to identify what is it he's referring to. And they're referring to a isolated concentrated form of 7-hydroxy as a pill or a tincture introduced into the market. Part of the Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act says it has to be in commerce unchemically altered. And there's no way you can get to a concentration that high of 7-hydroxy unless it is chemically altered. So their it and the it of 7-hydroxy that may have been part of kratom that was in commerce are two categorically, two different things, two different definitions.
Yeah.
So there is zero argument that anybody, unless they're a stand-up comedian, could argue that 7-hydroxy, as we know it today, is an old dietary ingredient.
So technically, I mean, they should not have. I mean, we all know they shouldn't have been on the market, and they did the wrong way. But I mean, technically, because they didn't do that, it's an illegal product.
Well, it's adulterated according to the Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act because no notification was submitted. Now, CBD American Shaman, they did submit an NDIN. I think it was finalized or published in July, so it was a recent thing they just did. So they did submit.
That was my next question.
They did submit a new dietary ingredient notification on their 7-hydroxy. But let's talk about a few things. Shaman has publicly said, we don't think it should be available at gas stations. Mm-hmm. Well, if you look at the seizure notice from December when the FDA seized a bunch of products, 95% of those products are available at gas stations. They white label for a lot of other manufacturers. So they say it shouldn't be available at gas stations, but they make all the products that are available at gas stations. So I think that's a contradiction right there. They also, the long story in 7-hydroxy is there's no cardiac or pulmonary interaction. It doesn't do that. Narcan can't resuscitate you. So that's been a long statement by the 7-hydroxy community. I talked to, I'm not going to say him by name, another prominent manufacturer of 7-hydroxy, arguably the biggest. He started spouting off, well, there's no cardiac, pulmonary, blah, 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 and there are 0 deaths regarding 7-hydroxy.
I hate hearing that.
Well, anyway, I'm going somewhere with this. In CBD American Shaman's NDIN, they flat out acknowledged in that paperwork on their own safety data, they acknowledge that it has cardiac depression, so it lowers your heart rate. It has pulmonary depression, so it slows your breathing. And when you overdose on an opiate, that is typically what kills you, is it slows your heart rate and breathing function so far down you expire. And they also acknowledge that Narcan can reverse the effects. So in writing, CBD American Shaman acknowledged what a lot of us have been saying, that they still argue is untrue. So a lot of contradictions.
Wow.
Now, let's just talk about supplements in general. If you're a manufacturer and you introduce a new IT into the market that's not present in the supply chain prior to 94, unchemically altered, that requires a new dietary ingredient notification. Out of the 1,400 new dietary ingredients that have been submitted to the FDA, they've approved, or time out, I screw this up too all the time. When the FDA evaluates a new dietary ingredient notification, they don't approve or deny it. There is no approval process. It still falls on the manufacturer's back to have a scientific basis of safety. That is the regulatory framework. It was passed by Congress. The FDA enforces it. So, where I'm going with this, they've responded to 10, 15 new dietary ingredient notifications without objection. So it is very rare that the FDA will evaluate a NDI and come back without some sort of objection to either the identity or the safety data. Now, that being said, just because the FDA responds with an objection to some of your data, that does not stop you from going onto the market. It doesn't make your product unlawful because there is no approval process. You just run an elevated risk of future seizures or having the FDA come in and shut you down or things like that. Then that triggers a court case because as a manufacturer, you got two choices: either fold up shop and move on, or when the FDA uses the U.S. Marshals to seize or try to take you off market, you have a legal right to challenge that. And then it's going to come down to a jury trial of expert witnesses. So the FDA is going to have to present a case that you pose an unreasonable risk of safety. They're going to have to prove that to a jury, and you're going to fight that you have safety data that suggests you are on the market and you don't pose an unreasonable risk of safety. In our particular case as a manufacturer, we're registered with the FDA. We are fully 21 CFR compliant. We are compliant with Part 111, 117, and 190.6. 190.6 requires the NDI process. Then also as a FDA GMP certified manufacturer, we have to have what's called post-market surveillance. That is when we have a system to where we look for adverse events with our products in market. And when it comes to your labeling, you have to put your contact information on your label, phone number, address, email address, a reasonable way for somebody to contact you to report an adverse event. If one gets reported, you stop and do an investigation. You pull the lot number of a sample because you got to retain a sample of everything you put in commerce. So you then have to go pull a sample of the retain. You start by testing it. Was it shelf stable? What is the pH? Is there bacteria, microbials, salmonella, botulism? Is it formulated correctly? And then you have to do an internal investigation and determine, is it likely our product caused this or not? If you come to the conclusion that it's likely your product that caused this, you have to notify the FDA and start a recall procedure. If you get back your investigation and you're like, well, it is what we said it was, it's 50 milligrams that goes with our safety data, it was free of any adulterant, it doesn't have any botulism, microbials, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, then that's the that is.
Well, so like my point is, okay, because so I guess when they came out on the market, you said they were trying to claim that it was something else that it wasn't, right?
Right.
That, or riding off the back of the other ND NDIN. Is that what it's called?
NDIN.
Okay.
Yep.
So they were trying to do that. NDIN. So they were trying to ride the back of another NDIN. I mean, what I'm getting at is this would have happened eventually, because I'm guessing, if there's something on the market and it doesn't have an NDIN filed, or none of the proper channels to put it out on the market, and say a bunch of people are going to the hospital and saying this is affecting me and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it eventually would be seized and there would be action taken.
Well, that's what the FDA did back in December when they went into CBD American Shaman and embargoed and seized products.
Okay.
So CBD American Shaman filed suit against the FDA challenging that. I don't know exactly where that's at in the legal process right now. And is it kind of a moot point now that they announced the intent to schedule? I don't know. I know that, also keep in mind, Tuesday was the first day they could have officially scheduled. So that was the first day they could have. The quickest they've ever done it after the allowable date was 39 days. So if you look at Tuesday, add 39 calendar days, Uh, anytime, anytime before that would be a unprecedented, quick time.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
So then sitting around and waiting and counting down the days, it's probably not going to be for a while.
yeah, it could be any day. Uh, now, here's a question for you. Not a question for you. LB. So, is it wrong that kratom that our governor just banned natural
Good,
kratom
you
on Senate?
would.
Who's your governor? LB. What state are you talking about?
Jen, can
And
you
then
let him
Mel,
know he
I
needs to
let
get rid
you
of
up.
that account?
Hey, Todd.
All right,
What in the
LB, Governor
world?
Governor Lord Kelly. What state?
More than like, is it North Dakota?
I don't know. Kansas.
Rob
I
on
think that is
time.
North. Oh, Kansas.
Keep in
Kansas.
mind, in Kansas, the governor didn't declare it was legal. They actually went through the
Rob
legislative
on.
process and banned kratom. So,
Jen,
yes, what they did was they followed their own laws, and it is now a Schedule One substance in Kansas.
Jen, since you're on his stream, can you let him know that he needs
Mr. White, how you
account?
doing?
Oh, he
Hey,
got
how's it
rid
going,
of
Todd?
he got
Oh,
rid of
good.
it.
Everybody okay?
Yeah, just a routine process, but landed at a interesting time, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I know. I know. I've seen you get very vocal on 7-hydroxy and all of that over the past couple weeks. What? Give me your thoughts there. When you say you're against prohibition, kind of give me your
Yes.
genesis on why.
So I personally believe that adults, should be given full information, and it's the responsibility of the companies to provide that full information about whatever products they have. However, I believe that those adults should also have the right to consume whatever they choose to, as long as it doesn't affect those around them in a negative way, right? So I call that conscious consumption. And what was lacking is a lot of the times our hands are tied. We can't even point at actual studies out loud without potentially being in issues with the FDA. I think that allows room for bad actors to be able to just go forward, push out whatever they want to, with no communication, no accountability, and it's actually creating an environment where these companies could get to this point,
Okay.
right?
Whoever has background noise, if they can do it themselves. But
I think it's that weird baby sounding person that joined.
you know what?
I think it's that weird baby sounding person up here that joined that with the heart and the anime
Okay.
girl or something. I'd kick them
I'm trying to
or
mute.
block them or whatever.
Okay, I just disconnected them.
Is that you as Buddy the Elf back there?
Yeah, well, it's not Buddy the Elf. It's actually me.
Oh, okay.
No, it's
Somebody was asking in my chat.
no. We for our Christmas party a couple of years ago, me and my business partner, we cropped Buddy the Elf in there, and that was at our Christmas party.
Okay.
It's there. There's a couple more.
Nice.
There's a real Buddy the Elf in my bathroom. And there's one of my partner, but it's just stuff we have laying around here. You accumulate weird stuff the longer you're in business. Anyway, Mr. White, when a manufacturer decides to bring a product to market, they bear the responsibility of having a scientific basis of safety prior to market entry. There is a regulatory process that the FDA, or not the FDA, that Congress has laid out on how to do this. What is your excuse or justification for that entire market to start marketing and selling these products without any scientific basis for safety?
So it's not a matter of, and sorry, I might have to take a little break and then jump back on to be a little bit more focused. However, it's not me trying to excuse that, right? The reality is this product should not be in a gas station. It shouldn't just be loosely held. So I think there's a misunderstanding with me believing in conscious consumption and me wanting to be pro 7-OH. I'm not pro 7-OH. I don't think that it should be just anywhere. However, I have heard enough people communicate to me about how much of a difference it's made in their life, and accessibility is very important. When things go down the restricted farmer route, they often get much more expensive, much more restricted, and prevents those who need it from accessing it. Would I rather them be on plain leaf or qualified extract products? Yes. But then again, who determines what a qualified extract product is? I think that small time manufacturers can do things safely in a way that is beneficial. I don't trust that in the hands, 7-hydroxy in the hands of the same exact people. I wouldn't want to manufacture it. I think that it is a slippery slope, but if we go all the way to the point of making it completely illegal, preventing people from even getting access, and then being put in a position where the only people that can manufacture it are FDA-sponsored pharmacy companies, then we've just got back in the same exact boat we were in before, where those people are looking for opiate alternatives, and now we're back.
Okay. Now, I know that in order to be a manufacturer of kratom products or any dietary supplement, your manufacturing facility needs to be registered with the FDA. That these guidelines in 21 CFR, that's the minimum requirement in order to do business. You've often said that you're all for regulations so long as it doesn't force out small businesses. Don't you think there's some sort of litmus test a manufacturer needs to be able to pass to be able to provide a product in the supply chain for human consumption?
Absolutely, but who determines that litmus test? Should be the
Food-
people
food
who
and
are
drug.
miles ahead and put a million. Well, okay, I think that's a big place where you and I might differ. My stance on the trustworthiness of the Food and Drug Administration might be a little different than yours, and I can't say. I'm also in the position right now, I can't fully have this conversation to the detail I want to, so I'm absolutely willing to jump on and have more conversation down the road. However, I am
Thank you so much.
not the biggest fan of them making that set rule, because they have not seemed to be the ones who care as much about the actual users versus the pharmaceutical companies.
More business.
Well, what I'm saying is that these guidelines are all designed for consumer safety, for traceabilities, to where if God forbid something happens, you have the ability to recall a batch, trace back to the process where something was introduced that caused harm. I mean, how can the small mom and pop shops do all that and ensure that they have a safe product in market?
Hey Todd, if I may speak, I think Kamal's currently busy at the moment. But I have here a couple of questions from him
Okay.
that he'd like. Yeah. So the first one is in relation to the word article. So the notice of intent sets the line at 0.050% dry weight or more than 1 milligram of 7-OH per article. But the word article was never defined anywhere in the document. So what does article mean? Does it mean a single capsule, serving, the bottle, or the whole shipment? Because a 60 bottle count and a single tablet give you two completely different answers on the same product.
Well, I think article is the product introduced into commerce in this. I mean, I'm not an attorney. I don't work for the DEA. I know we had the conversation regarding, I talked to a DEA agent about this and counsel about this. Every federal entity has different definitions in the way they imply them. The FDA's definition of article and the DEA's definition of article are not the same. So that's just the way it's done here. I don't like it either. But the word article is probably, in this case, defined as a product you put into commerce. So if you put a kilo of kratom powder on the market, that bag would be an article. Now, here's where it gets interesting. That kilo may have more than 1 milligram of 7-hydroxy.
Absolutely will.
Well, it may, but they've also carved out and said they are not going after a natural leaf. This law, the spirit of the law, is to specifically go after synthetics. And the whole entire argument about metrogeny pseudodoxyle came up. Kratom or kratom shots after time can have an increased amount of pseudodoxyle in them. Well, according to the DEA, there's a zero threshold on that. And we know it could be possible. I'm hearing feedback. So if somebody can mute. Anyway, that's better. Okay. So the word article, what basically they're saying is and the DEA agent brought this up, and I already kind of covered this at the beginning. There are, I don't know if it's thousands, but there are hundreds of manufacturers in the United States that have hemp-derived Delta-9 in their possession. So they're going to have a liter container of pure Delta-9. And if you look at just what that is, that article is a Schedule I narcotic according to the DEA and the federal government. But there's this argument, well, this is hemp-derived, and it's a in-process ingredient, and it's going to be formulated into finished goods that will be compliant. So they don't enforce it as much as they would. So I think it's going to come down to intent and how they want to enforce it. So if that answers your question.
Thanks for that, Tom.
And
So
then,
if nobody in the room could define it the same way, then how is a retailer or manufacturer supposed to, like, who will eat the felony while they figure it out? So that's kind of the vague part with the word article.
yeah, I don't think they're going to look at I assume are you foreign and you're an importer possibly?
Sorry?
Are you foreign and are you a importer of kratom products?
Oh, I'm just Kamal's executive assistant, so I have a background of how things work. Yeah, in the back end.
Okay, I don't think they're going to look at a container or a pallet of kratom and call that an article and go after you. I think they're primarily going to look at a finished good.
Gotcha. So, a second question, if you would allow.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So, automatic illegality or a real grace period, because the notice contains no transition provision, no sell-through window, and no inventory exemption. So the order can technically publish any day now. So on the date it publishes, does compliant inventory sitting on a shelf become Schedule I contraband overnight, or is there a defined window to pull, return, and destroy?
They gave you a window on July 1st, 4th, 5th, whatever day they announced the intent to schedule. That 30 days was your window to get the shit off the market if you have something that could be construed as a Schedule I. At any point after
Todd,
that date,
you'll notice Todd, the issue with that is the first question lists the articles. I think that there are many products that I've manufactured extract-wise, shots and things that would fall into where the stance is right now. Should we have pulled all of those off the market when they aren't even sure what they're going to do and haven't communicated it in thorough understanding? Like, we haven't even gotten the proper definition of the word article.
well,
That seems like an unreasonable ask while also not giving us the information required to act on it.
I think there's
You know what I'm saying?
I think there's a phone. Can you put me on mute again? Okay, I think there's fundamentally a misunderstanding on prior warning and it's a long-standing tradition on what article means to the DEA. They don't have to come out and create a new definition specifically for this. They use the common English definition of article. That's number one. Number two, the date you got warned was the date they intended to schedule. They said, we're going to schedule this. You got 30 days before we can announce the scheduling. Like right now, if you have products in your possession that would be classified as a Schedule 1. If you have a high 7 product or MGM 15, 16, or a pseudodoxyle product, if they announce at 1 o'clock Central Time, all right, it's official, we're signing off on this, it's now scheduled, at 1:01, they can come in and start enforcing that and arresting you for possession of a controlled substance.
I think you might be misunderstanding me as well, but I hear what you're saying about the tradition of the word article. What I'm more talking about is, say I have my King K 300 milligram shot in the 30 ml. That could range anywhere from 0.7 milligrams to 1.2, 1.5 milligrams per the whole shot. If article meant per, if it was per serving, then we're in a different conversation. If it's per bottle, we're in a different conversation.
No, it's
For my
I would not
and my
rely,
capsules in a kilo box.
I would not rely on your definition of article as the litmus test. If they say article, I presume they're probably talking about the entire bottle. And this is why it's important to have an established QA/QC team. Identity testing, when you bring in extract, you have it tested for potency and purity. You know what your formulations do, and you know what thresholds you're going to be at. That comes down to, that's why I say that not everybody should be manufacturing dietary supplements. You run the risk if you get hot extract in that could be completely natural, non-synthesized extract. It could just be a batch of extract that has an unusual high amount of 7-hydroxy that you then put into formulas, and you then create an article that has thresholds that exceed the federal guidance. You could be in possession of a Schedule 1 narcotic.
You don't see the vagaries there and how that might be negatively impacting the rest of the kratom community. I don't care about the 7-OH, the pseudodoxyl, the MGMs. Those are not my problem. My problem are, if an article is per container, is that a container of powder? Is that a container of capsules? Is that a shot, one single shot that has 9 servings in the bottle with a dropper? Like, what is that article? And I'm not questioning you like you should have the answer, but can't just generally support legislation with vague terminology. The terminology needs to be specific, and there needs to be a grace period, because we don't even know where it's going to land. There's products on shelves all over the US that are going to be over that 1 milligram per container. Many of your own shots will be in that range as well too. That's just the reality of it. So if it's per serving, perfect, done, right? If it's per container, okay, I want it to be directly listed what that means.
The final definitions have not been released by the DEA yet. I know it's been brought up on the 1 milligram per article. I know that's been a discussion. We're going to have to wait and see what the final rule is from the DEA. It's just what it is. And then you're going to have a process to remediate the amount of 7-hydroxy or other things in the product to be compliant. Justin?
Wouldn't there be some type of like action that could be taken to get that modified if need be?
Okay, I want to bring Justin up. Justin, you want to come up? I'd like to educate you on a few things real quick, because you're giving absolute asinine talking points. Banning the 7-OH ban is about money, not harm reduction. I think that's flat out bullshit. One of the things I've continued to point out, if it was just about money, why do none of the large kratom manufacturers manufacture and sell it if it's just about money? I could have made the shit 3 years ago and chose not to, because I think unnecessary risk. And then who's 7-OH killed on its own? Well, there's plenty of toxicology reports out there and alleged deaths over that. So you'd have to go research that, Justin.
It's not even about 7-OH killing people. It's about killing people's livelihoods.
Yeah,
It's destroying their lives.
You got to keep in mind.
Yeah.
When they say that your formulation can do no, or should, you have to have a scientific basis that your product will do no harm. Harm does not mean death. It can be harming you long before it kills you. So something that is super highly addictive, they're calling that harm. Okay, Justin, if 7-hydroxy is what you say it is, and why have none of these companies gone through the process of filing an IND and going down the correct regulatory process? It could be life-saving. It could be transformative. We don't know because all these people are throwing the shit in gas station, calling it dopium, perks, and other flat-out idiotic names, making it look like a drug empire.
They've had years to get their shit together and have some type of regulatory framework in the industry, and they've chose not to.
Yeah. So, Justin, you're barking up the wrong tree here.
Yeah, the 7-OH industry don't care. They don't have any scientific data. The one data that they did pay for was the Beagle study, and even that study was flawed. So anybody that
Right.
consumes 7-OH, you are the human science experiment.
Justin, name a reputable vendor. Give me the name.
Many of these lab results too, that people are like, oh, make sure to get lab results from my vendor beforehand. A lot of those have been disproven that that's not even what's contained in the lab work
Yeah.
for some of these products.
Yeah. Justin, can you name a responsible manufacturer? Omega Extracts provides lab reports. How does that, Bronx Extracts? These are retailers. These are white label companies. They're not manufacturers. Does providing a COA make you a responsible manufacturer? Do you know under Part 111 you're not required to have third-party COAs published? So I'm curious, Just, how do I? LD7 produces their own? How do I get Justin up here? I want to talk to this kid.
They usually don't want to get up and talk, dude.
No, I'll get up and talk to him. And if he can act intelligent and respectful, I'll let him talk. Where are you at, Justin? All right, I invited you up, Justin.
Right. There's unknown substances, residual chemical solvents. I mean, it's like, I don't know.
Justin, here's your shot. Well, I'm going to continue on. Oh, you have a child under 2. It's very loud, or I'd love to talk. Okay. I get it.
That's okay. We understand.
But anyway, here's my problem with some of those arguments when you talk about responsible manufacturers. And Dr. McCurdy and a couple other doctors out of the University of Florida brought this up. When you take metrogenine, because you have to have that to convert that over to 7-hydroxy, you're using a lot of chemicals and reagents. But most importantly, when you convert MIT over to 7-OH, it's also converting painanthine over to a new alkaloid, specioguanine to a new alkaloid, speciosilatine to a new alkaloid. A lot of and then also there's dozens of unidentified compounds that are being created in there. How can that be responsible to put unknown compounds into a product? You don't know if they're free radicals. You don't know if they're carcinogenic. You don't know the short or long-term health consequences of it. How is that responsibility? Which one of these manufacturers is registered with the FDA that is completely GMP compliant? All of those things. Okay, Justin, you understand that that's why we need research. That shit should be done before you introduce it to the market. We don't use the human population in America as guinea pigs to show evidence your product isn't harmful. You have to have that prior to market entry. That's why I say the entire industry is fucked and irresponsible, because none of them did that.
I mean, just at the very least, some basic safety data.
And then informed consent. That was thrown out the window too.
Right. Right.
So yes, it might
don't
be
know.
helping people, but at what cost is it helping you? What cost
Yeah.
dollar wise? What cost health wise? What cost family wise?
Yeah. Okay. Oh, when you say most smoke shops are still selling 7-hydroxy, they're not breaking the law yet.
Okay.
They're not breaking the law yet.
Unless you're in a banned state.
Yeah, unless you're in a
because-
banned state. But got to keep in mind, until the DEA comes out and says it's scheduled, it's not against the law.
And it's coming. We're just waiting for it to drop.
South Carolina, they're gone. They're gone in a lot of places.
Yeah.
I don't know about, did South Carolina pass that regulation?
I think it was still up in the air.
I
And,
thought so
and, you know, here's
too.
another case in point. North Dakota just banned all kratom because of 7-OH.
What was funny is the governor and attorney general of North Dakota in their press conference, when they showed what kratom products need to be banned, it was 3 different pills, 3 different manufacturers of 7-hydroxy. They didn't have kratom up there, it was 7-hydroxy. That's kind of the ongoing point that
Yep.
most lawmakers, governors, attorney generals don't understand the difference.
Nope.
They had an Todd, they had an amazing hearing this morning in North Dakota.
How'd it go?
Oh my God, Todd.
Oh, it was so good. Like their legislative members actually did their job and
They
did
did their
research.
due diligence and it was freaking amazing. There's going to be a hearing next Wednesday. So Sarah, I just saw that you're in North Dakota. We need to find more North Dakota folks to show up next Wednesday. It was amazing, Todd.
This whole, the whole marketing under the bad name thing, yes, that's true, but that is not what gave them a bad name. What gave it a bad name is it coming onto the market and being marketed as a kratom product and people getting duped into taking it thinking it was just a kratom extract or a more potent form of kratom. And next thing you know, they can't stop taking it. They're spending massive amounts of money. People are going to rehab. They're calling poison control. They're going to the ER. They're all calling it kratom.
When you
They
think
have
about
no idea what the difference is.
Yeah, when you think about consumerism, their targeted audience was active addicts.
Yes.
Of course, an active addict that might be on illicit fentanyl or heroin or whatnot, and they see those names, that right there is eye candy. EDC 24/7, I followed you. Follow me back. You're in
They just
Bismarck.
increasing the doses. Like regardless of the names, it's just a lot of things gave it a bad name. It's just
And then they had some that looked like Xanax bars.
Go.
Xanax bars.
yeah. Yep.
Like, come on now. They've had years. They've had years to clean up the market, and they did not give a damn fuck.
Yeah, it's, my favorite was the 7 ohms ice cream cone and then the product out of Michigan called Dopium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at when I introduced Mitt Wellness as a brand, the name is Mitt Wellness. We cleanly labeled it, put exactly what it was in there, did everything we could to make it look like a dietary supplement, and that's the market that we're going after. I can't understand why. Why we're
Jeffrey
ignoring them
says,
out
I
there.
used them to get off painkillers and I had no idea the withdrawals would be like this. And Justin says, nothing comes for free. Yeah, but still at some point, people should, now I don't know what this case was, but people should be educated on what to look out for, you know?
Yep. So, who else? Mike Frozen, yes, 701. Just trying to keep. Okay, Mike, your question about feel free to have pseudo in it. Yes, there was a lab report showing feel free had pseudodoxyl in there. It's important to know that it is 100% scientifically accurate to say that natural leaf can occasionally have trace amounts of pseudodoxyl in there, because pseudodoxyl is a metabolite of 7-hydroxy. Okay, so there's truth there. Also, in a acidic environment, and any type of beverage is going to have a pH that's around 3 to 3.5. And they do that to prevent bacteria from growing. Any low acidic environment that has metrogeny in there can minutely what am I looking for? Oxidize some of that over to either 7 or pseudodoxyl. So just because it was in there at a low traceable amount, that's not the same as them manipulating it and putting synthetic in there. Okay.
You know, this whole thing about the lobbying thing, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just how lobbying works.
And then to answer Justin again, yeah, feel free is lobbying to ban 7. So are a lot of responsible companies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's how it works. Like, that's just how the government works. People pay to get, you pay to talk to people. It's not paying to get laws actually passed, dude.
I want everybody.
You know what? And people.
I want everybody.
Sorry,
here,
Todd.
I got a homework assignment for you. Go watch the movie The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy. When he gets elected to Congress back in the early 90s, it was a movie that came out. That should be a documentary, not a comedy. So when people say it's not pay to play, stuff like that, every time I meet with a politician, you know, within a week, I get asked to make a donation for something. So
Sad man, it's being lobbied because there's no safety. It's all about safety.
yeah,
The lobbying is being done to put the bullseye on it because the 708 industry really fucked themselves up.
They shot themselves in the foot, Misty.
Oh, I hate that saying, Jen.
okay.
But you know what?
Sandman,
Really shot themselves in the foot.
Sandman,
You know what? People
sorry.
want to talk about the lobbying that's being done to ban it. You know what the 708 industry does? They paid the Florida legislature off over
They offer
$700,000.
blank checks to a bunch of people. So I mean, you know, I don't know. Offering a blank check to somebody
Yeah,
is a lot different than lobbying and paying to get time with someone.
they offered a blank check to Mac Haddo at the AKA.
Okay, I want to address a couple quick things. Then I got to go. I have another Zoom call I got to hop on.
Captain Kirk.
Okay.
You're like Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
Okay. Sandman is a safe opioid other than addictive qualities, and the only reason it banned is stepping on sales. Sandman, if that's the only reason, why would I just, if it's safe and it's just about sales, why would I not start manufacturing it? It's easy to do. Why answer that? Why would I not just start manufacturing it? And then Kells, I believe, MIT to 708 is like 10% in your liver. Okay, let's talk about that real quick too, Justin. You consume 100 milligrams of metrogeny. Yes, some of it gets converted over to 7-hydroxy. Your liver doesn't do it instantaneously, so it's not an immediate boost of that many milligrams of 7-hydroxy in your bloodstream. It's throttled. It takes a process. It's over a period of time.
It's slow and self-limiting.
Yeah, it's self-limiting. Your liver can only process so much at one time. And also, there's 53 other alkaloids that your body's also processing simultaneously. So a lot of them have a synergistically effect to where it's to equate the 5 to 7%, and it's not 10%, it's about 5 to 7%. In my opinion, we can argue that later on a different thread, but about 5 to 7% of MIT that you would consume when it's all said and done over time, might get converted over to 7-hydroxy. But to compare that to getting a concentrated synthetic serving of 7-hydroxy, two totally different things. One is immediately absorbed and breaking the blood-brain barrier and then hitting your opioid receptors within minutes. The other one is a natural process your liver does, synergistically processing all of the alkaloids together. So it's not the same thing. And I know you're not trying to argue a 3% difference, but I'm just trying to be very exact and scientific on it.
And I will continue saying this. The amount of kratom ban hearings that Jen and I always say that us real advocates have attended. You guys have no idea. In my 7 years of advocacy, before July 2025, we only attended maybe 15, 20 hearings a year. But since July of 2025, it's been over 300 hearings. 7-OH has been causing mass destruction in these communities.
Yeah.
And we're up there trying to help them differentiate between natural kratom and 7-OH. We win some hearings, we lose some hearings.
Okay,
And it's
Woot Woot.
time and time again.
Hey, Woot Woot, I want you to answer this question. If it's just about money, and that's the only reason I want it banned, why would I not just start manufacturing it? Answer that, please.
Yeah, you have all the equipment, Todd.
I've actually demonstrated we could do it. I published a paper, provided it to people we all know. I did it to prove we could. This is back in August of 23. No intentions of ever marketing it.
Maybe you should give them your history of dealing with Vince Sanders at American Shaman.
You know, I normally don't like to tell people that unless they bring it up, but
I brought it up, Todd.
I was the company's former chief operating officer, left them after they introduced tianeptine. They're not saying just you outright. They're saying feel free, DEA, pharma. I don't know what you're saying, Justin. I'm trying.
Well, I understand they're the ones lobbying, but that's how things work. I mean, like every company since the beginning of the government has paid to get time and donated to parties. Like that's just, and all those records, you know, they're supposed to be public record. I mean, that's no secret.
Okay, you're going to have to put on your tinfoil hat or whatever somewhere else saying that Suboxone Company's got it banned. You're all over the place. I can't address all of your arguments. Okay, they don't want to make 7-OH. They want it gone. It's eating their sales.
Man.
Justin,
It'd probably be a lot better, cheaper, and more, you know, they'd make a lot more money if they just started manufacturing it and, you know, give up instead of giving their money away.
Justin, who's they?
He's saying feel free and the ones that are lobbying against 7-OH, he's saying.
I'm lobbying against it. If it was just
I
about
advocate
the money-
against it.
If it was just about the money, I bet I left $300 million on the table over the past 3 years by not making it.
You did.
So
Oh yeah.
So if it was just about the money, I could have been a drug dealer like everybody else and retired by now. What do you think the use of SR? I don't know a whole lot about it, so
I don't know enough about it to have an act like a.
Opinion.
I admit it. I just think that it's. Yeah, I think it's not all it's cut out to be. I think that it's not a miracle drug like everybody's making it out to be. I mean, I'm glad people are getting help with it, and that's great, but I think there is some downsides to it.
now here's the thing. Needle inspiration. It's hard to listen to you with your panel eyes interrupting. Panel, stop interrupting me. If there's a specific question you want to ask, I got about 3 minutes before I got to go.
Yeah, you ask your question and we'll shut up.
Damn. It sucks to be loud and proud. Can't shut the fuck up.
Justin, they're
Yeah.
banned too. That's what I know about them.
They sure are.
They're completely synthetic. They're a whole lot more scary than 7-hydroxy. I think, I'm going to go against the grain here. I think 7-hydroxy might be the next best thing on earth to treat chronic acute pain, but it needs to be studied. It needs to be done under the correct settings. I think you need to have a doctor involved. But they shot themselves in the foot by rushing to turn it into a drug empire instead of doing things the right way. They stepped over billions of dollars instead of doing it the right way.
It's a drug and it needs to go through the drug trials. It needs to go through that 10 years and billions of dollars. They done made billions off of you folks. They need to put that money into the trials.
I got this little thing from TikTok right now trying to get me to prove that I'm still active.
Oh, the
I
little
mean,
puzzle
yeah,
piece?
it's more difficult to get approval for research when it's Schedule 1. I understand that, but that's what we have to work with. That's just the way that it's set up. That's the Controlled Substances Act. That's
You
what
can
we're given the tools to work with.
You 100% can still research Schedule 1 drugs.
Yeah.
You just need a special permit, like Dr. Chris McCurdy.
Yeah, I mean they're researching cocaine in different parts of the United States right now. So
Yeah.
it can be done. They just don't allow every nitwit out there to do it.
Well, they're researching the coca plants, not cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Now, let's talk about
you
this.
say which people just use as directed. There's a lot of people I've talked to that used it as directed that were never addicts. And they find themselves, the half-life starts wearing off. They're starting to take it more and more. They're having to up their dose. And it's awful to get trapped in that when you're in chronic pain. And there you go.
All right. Justin, yes, I heard somebody say something about that. I don't know all the details about that. Guys, I got to go. It was fun. We'll do it again soon.
Okay, bye, everybody.